case you missed the memo, today, December 6, 2017, as of this recording, the free-to-play, squad-based shooter Ghost in the Shell Online First Assault has officially been shut down by its publisher, Nexon. And this comes after just about 3 years of public access, most of which was in some form of alpha or beta. So this is a game that barely even launched in any official capacity, and now is already gone. Now, some people might not lament too much over this. It certainly wasn't a perfect game by any means. And yet, for me and many others, it just captured something that no other game has done in recent years. And the way it's gone out is particularly puzzling for a variety of reasons. Just a few months ago, the game received a major update, ironically titled the Renewal Update, which provided the game with a complete overhaul of the user interface. It rearranged characters into classes, each with specialized weapon categories and abilities. They added new characters to round out the roster for classes lacking in numbers under the new system. They added new movement mechanics. They added Elimination, which was a game mode where the map would sort of shrink down PUBG style. And they even promoted it with a fancy CGI trailer, which is what you're seeing right now. And it just has money written all over it. It just doesn't make sense that so much effort would suddenly go into the game just to cancel it weeks later, and to announce that the game would be going offline worldwide over the coming months. It just doesn't make good business sense. See, a lot of people assume this is Nexon's doing, that the publisher told the developers, Neopal and Team Waffle, that, it's 2.0 or bust. And then it was negative fan reaction to the update that caused them to pull the plug. And to be fair, there is credence lent to this theory by the message left in the game regarding its closure. Officially, the only reason given for the game's closure is that it wouldn't live up to the developer's vision, and that was why it was canceled, more or less. And while the purpose of this video isn't to analyze what's wrong with First Assault mechanically, it is fair to say that most of fans' complaints about the game's mechanics were never addressed. First Assault is not, or was not I should say, a refined shooter, as is, say, Destiny or Call of Duty. Were there balance issues? Yes. Was hit registration poor? Yes. However, I think it is a mistake modern gamers make to prioritize mathematical precision over actual gameplay. I do not believe First Assault deserved the negative feedback it got. I don't. Like it or hate it, there's nothing else like it on the market, as of today. Sure, there are other online multiplayer shooters on PC. Sure, some of them are even free to play. But none of them are based on such a beloved IP as Ghost in the Shell. None of them have the same type of squad-based gameplay this game had. And most importantly, none of them have the community this game had. Because yes, this game had a community. It had a bigger community than Vindictus, another Nexon published game. It had a bigger community than Lawbreakers, certainly bigger than that. By the numbers, this should have been a viable game. The developer even said so in a post on the game's forums prior to shutting it down. The game's player count is not the reason Ghost in the Shell First Assault was sunset. That much they stated in no uncertain terms. However, they persistently dodged stating the real reason the game was shut down, and were clear that they had no intention of doing so. I have no doubt this is due to contractual obligations, but I do find it telling that it strongly suggests that the official reason given for the game's demise evidently isn't the real reason. Otherwise, they should have no problem saying it. And yet, if we read between the lines, I think we can get a pretty good idea of what may have happened behind closed doors that ultimately led to this decision. Ghost in the Shell is obviously a licensed IP. It's a heavily licensed IP. You've got Kodansha, you've got Production IG. All of the rights holders for Ghost in the Shell have to give their consent for a game like this to exist. It's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of money to do something like this. And it takes a lot of convincing the rights holders that your game project is the one they should license their IP to. I don't think a lot of people realize the developer shopping that goes on for this sort of thing. Sometimes a rights holder will specifically want to capitalize on their property by having a video game made, but often it's a developer or a publisher who sets their eye on a particular IP, makes a proof of concept, and submits it for the rights holder to consider. If the rights holder likes what they see and are confident in the developer's long-term vision for the project, they get the license, oftentimes snatching it away from other prospective developers in the process. It's not that multiple developers can't have a license to the same IP simultaneously. It's just that it wouldn't make sense to have multiple similar products competing against each other for the same thing. "13 years ago or so, Ghost in the Shell games were released on the PS2 and PSP simultaneously. Different platforms, different developers, fundamentally different games. It was a non-issue. So what does this mean then for First Assault? I think it's worth questioning whose vision it was that was unmet. Was it really the developers? Was it even Nexon? Or could it have been that it was Kodansha or Production IG that ultimately made the decision? Could it be that the license which Nexon once had has now been given to another publisher? Now, previously, my fear would have been that, because the Hollywood movie flopped, and deservedly so, I must say, and because the Ghost in the Shell Arise TV anime before it didn't fare tremendously well either, that these companies would be scared off from further adapting Ghost in the Shell for quite some time. However, we actually have compelling evidence today that some of this speculation might actually be true. Recently, Bandai Namco unveiled a Ghost in the Shell arcade game for their dedicated virtual reality venue called VR Zone. It's a 4-on-4 PvP game where players take on the role of Section 9 agents to virtually eliminate the enemy team using weapons and power-ups taken from the series. Now, this is currently exclusive to this particular venue in Japan, and continuing the arcade uses its own specialized VR equipment and requires a large space shared by 8 people physically present in the same environment. I wouldn't count on this particular game coming to home PCs anytime soon. But what's interesting about this arrangement is what it implies. Specifically, that Bandai Namco, in some form or another, currently holds development rights for Ghost in the Shell. Specifically, Ghost in the Shell Arise, whereas First Assault was based on Standalone Complex instead. Now, I'm of two minds about this. On the one hand, Bandai Namco is currently one of my favorite publishers. They're producing great content, they're localizing it for English-speaking audiences, they're porting their library to PC, but just because Bandai Namco has the rights to produce a VR Ghost in the Shell game says nothing about a potential spiritual sequel to First Assault. Mario Kart is another game you can play at Bandai Namco's VR Zone, and I'm pretty sure that's not coming home to consumer VR devices anytime soon, let alone a general PC release. Also, the death of Ghost in the Shell First Assault is more than just the end of a niche PC game. Most likely, this is the last time we'll get to re-experience Ghost in the Shell standalone complex in particular, aside from existing media. First Assault is a game that shouldn't have existed. Here we are almost 20 years on from Standalone Complex's first airing in 2002, and somehow a developer just happened to be passionate enough about that particular series to get the green light on another tie-in. That, to me, is incredible. And see, I love Standalone Complex. I think it's the best interpretation of Ghost in the Shell ever made. To see these characters again, with the same designs, many of the same voice actors, running around in environments from the show, It really was something special and something I never thought I'd get to see. I hope Bandai Namco has a license for the series now. I hope they produce something for home consoles and PC. But even if they do, there's a slim chance it will truly replace what First Assault created. Like it or hate it, there's no denying that First Assault was truly unique. And if you didn't get in on it in the short time it was available, sorry, tough luck, because it came and went. And it was fun while it lasted. I had the opportunity to record a fair amount of gameplay footage before the developers finally pulled the plug. I didn't quite get every map included like I'd hoped, but I tried to get as many maps and game modes in as I could, just to act as an archive of the experience before it fades away completely. You can find those matches on this channel, not edited, not clipped to try and make my gameplay skills look more impressive than they are. Some matches I did well, others I didn't. That's not the point. I just wanted to try and capture the game as it truly was, from my perspective. To capture a passing moment in gaming history that I'm glad I got to be a part of from day one. To the developers who made this game happen, thank you. To the community managers who stayed positive despite all the negativity, thank you. And to the community who played with me and against me, day and night, thank you. I hope you all had fun. I hope you all had fun. I know I did. From alpha, to beta, to release, to sunset.